that right now. You got some people that are fake the funk, they'll rock with you and act like they know you, act like they're cool, but when they get out in public, they'll say, yo, man, I don't know them like that. That's cool. Let them be fake. But I'm going to tell you, when it comes to Christ, you don't want him to deny you before the Father, because Christ is the only reason we get to the Father. No good deeds, no amount of money you did, no matter sermons you preached, no matter time you ushered and sung in the choir, none of that is going to be the reason, justification for you to get into heaven. The only thing that's going to do it is Christ. So if Christ deny you, you're done. Today's lesson. Mind of a slave. Blood of a king. Where we at right now? Time-wise. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's try to speak through this. Let's go to Hebrews 3. Hebrews 3. Took a lot longer than I wanted to, but we got to do what we got to do. Hebrews 3. Trying to speak through this a little bit. And we're going to look at verses. Let's see what we need here. I'm not going to read all of that. Let's go. Let's look at verse. Let's go. Let's start at verse 12. We can do this verse 12. Let's do it.
Take heed, brethren, lest there be any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living God.
He said, listen, understand, listen to what key here, what Paul says. That a heart that's not unbelief, a mind that doesn't have belief and faith in it, is considered evil in the eyes of the Most High. When you go to Numbers, the 13th chapter, and when the Bible says that when the 12 spies went into the land and viewed the land and came back to the children of Israel to report what they saw, 10 of the spies, the Bible says, gave an evil report because he said that we couldn't do it. So anytime you say, don't believe the word of the Most High, that's an evil. It's evil and considered to him, because he says, what other reason have I ever gave you not to believe me? Numbers 23:19 says, I'm not a man that I should lie, the son of man that I have to repent. Have I not said it, will not do it? Have I spoken it and not bring it to pass? So Paul is saying there, what, verse 12?
Take heed, brethren, lest there be any of you an evil heart of unbelief. Any of you an evil heart of disbelief in departing from the living God.
So when you have an evil heart of unbelief, it's going to make you depart from the Most High. The only way you're going to be closer to the Most High, have him in your life, is you believe him. Hebrews 11:6 says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. That we must know that he is God and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. So that means if you're diligently seeking him and believing him, you're coming closer to him. But if you believe him, you're getting farther and farther away. And you got some people that go to church every Sunday, but they don't believe nothing that the Most High says. Nothing. They go to church and they think that that's going to be a check mark and for them to get something. And the Most High said he didn't go to church and you're going to get something. He said, believe me and you'll get something. Verse 13.
But exhort one another daily, while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin.
So he's saying right here, you need to be, encouraging each other. You need to be heating your man's up. You don't need to be talking down on your man that's going through something with his marriage. You need to be calling his order. Like, yo, bro, let me show you these scriptures, man. Listen, you don't need to be giving advice when people are going through situations. You need to be giving them the wisdom of the Most High. And this is what happens a lot of times, is because women will sit down and women will talk stuff out and they'll talk all night if necessary. Brothers won't do that. Be going through something and won't even say a word to each other. See each other every day, won't say nothing. And then when the ones do say something, you clown them, make them feel bad, or you give them some ungodly advice. Yo, man, my girl, man, she threatened to leave me, man, said I need to get a job and stuff. Yo, bro, if that chick ain't with you, bro, go to the next chick, bro. On to the next one. Ungodly. So he says, exhort each other daily. And do what?
Exhort one another daily while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin.
Hardness. That's how you get a hard heart, through the deceitfulness of sin. Because when you're going out there in the club popping bottles, boy, woo, it's feeling real good, but that music real nice, so it looking real good. And that's how your heart get hard. So when the word is trying to get in there, it can't get in there because it's been blocked by the deceitfulness of sin. Verse 14.
For we are made partakers of Christ if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast unto the end.
So you see that? See, the only way you're going to be a partaker of Christ is that what you got when you first received him as your Lord and Savior, that you got to hold that all the way to the end. And if you notice, most people, they start off on fire, but by year 2, year 3, year 4, it's just like they ain't never known anything. Because the reason why it's that is because they didn't continue in his word. Or, unfortunately, many of them go to a church and the only thing they're hearing is salvation every Sunday. So, yeah, you received Christ this Sunday, but 3 years later, all you've heard was salvation sermons. That's not going to help the people. So I'm challenging my preachers. I'm challenging my pastors. Listen, man, stop going back to the old notebook and pulling out a sermon and get it on your face so the Most High can lead you to the word or rhema word that the people need. You can't give people the same salvation sermons Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, hollering and screaming, say yeah, say yeah. That's not going to help them with life. They need this word, and the only way they're going to get it, if you give it to them. Verse 16. Oh yeah, verse 15.
While it is said today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the provocation.
Okay, so right there he's saying is, today if you hear his voice, don't harden your heart like the people did when they was in Israel, when they was in the wilderness. When they hardened their heart and they would not receive what the Most High told them. Verse 16.
For some, when they had heard, did provoke, howbeit not all that came out of Egypt by Moses.
So he's saying, who have heard indeed rebelled? Was it not those who came out of Egypt led by Moses? Wanted them? He's asking the question, and they wanted them, the ones who didn't do what he said? Verse 17.
But with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcasses fell in the wilderness?
He said, wanted them? The ones who rebelled, the ones who said that they couldn't go in the wilderness? Was it not him that he told they were going to spend 40 years in the wilderness and never go into the promised land? Was it them who had to die in the wilderness instead of going in? And their children had to go in, wanting them? Verse 18.
And to whom swore he that they should not enter into rest, but to them that believed not.
Say, wanted them? The ones who didn't believe? They never got the rest that was promised to them, to Abraham? And there's so many of our people who have promises that their grandmother and grandfather, their mother and dad were praying for, and the Most High made promises to them, and they never received them because they don't believe. And that's really, really sad. For somebody to be promised something, and just because they don't believe it, they never receive it. Verse 19.
So we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief.
Because of sin.
Because of unbelief.
Because of the white man.
Because of unbelief.
Because Donald Trump was in office.
Because of unbelief.
Because the government is evil.
Because of unbelief.
Because of unbelief. Not sin. Because the sin thing is taken care of. And listen, you know that I'm a person that's going to deal with sin. I address sin. I address that we're supposed to be following the law. Yes, I address those things. You hear it all the time. But let me break this thing down to you right here. Is that the real reason why people are not receiving is not sin, because sin is already taken care of. Sin was taken care of on the cross. The real reason why people are not getting in is because of unbelief. Because if you believe that fornication is wrong, you wouldn't fornicate. If you believe that homosexuality was wrong, you wouldn't live that lifestyle. If you believe that lying and stealing was wrong, you wouldn't do it. If you believe that being provocative and trying to make men lust after you was wrong, you wouldn't do it. If you would believe that having baby mamas over here and all these things is wrong, you wouldn't do it. So it's not about the sin, it's about unbelief. Unbelief in what the Most High has said, unbelief in what Christ has done, unbelief in the promises and the rewards of those who follow this law is the real reason why people are not receiving. Those people didn't get into the promised land because of their sins. They didn't get in because they didn't believe. Because if they believed, they wouldn't sin. Simple as that. It's just like this right here. You walk to a door and you see a doorknob. If you believe that if I turn it, I'll go in. But if you don't believe that doorknob is going to work, then what you're going to do? You're going to break the window and try to get in that way. And the Christ said in John the 10th chapter, unless you come through the door, which is him, you ain't getting in. And this is what's going on. Today's lesson. Mind of a slave, blood of a king. Mind of a slave, blood of a king. Now, we've addressed those things. We're coming to about the mind. Now, we're about to get into how we're going to reshape that mind so you can live out what's in your blood. Go to Colossians, 3rd chapter. Colossians, the 3rd chapter. We're going to look at verses 1 through 17. We're going to try to get through this fast. Now, as I said today in the outset, today we're doing this lesson for the men and on our Father's Day because so many of our men they've been bamboozled, they've been tricked, they've been hoodwinked, led astray, run amok. And we sit back looking at these guys and we're saying, how in the world did they get here? And what we're trying to get you to understand is, yes, we made some bad choices. Yes, we chose wrong when the right option was available. But the majority of it is simply because the enemy was set up to destroy us, the nation of Israel, the so-called black man, the so-called African American man, the so-called Mexican man, the so-called Puerto Rican, the so-called Cuban, the so-called Jamaican, the so-called Panamanian, so-called Hawaiian and Samoan, so-called Brazilian, Colombian, so-called Nicaraguan, Dominican. It's the nation of Israel. And because they gave us this false identity, because they made us think that we were nothing before our slave master took us, we became something that we were never meant to be. And then when people begin to wake up in the 50s and 60s, and we began to, after we walked off the plantations, to begin to walk in the things of Christ and understand the truth, there's been a complete onslaught of trying to get our people off this Bible by breaking us into TV shows that tell us to live outside of the Most High, by putting rap music out there to tell us to live outside of the Most High. And we are seeing the fruit of the seeds that were sown in our community. And we're looking around and blaming each other, and we're not even realizing that the devil did it to us. And so we start pointing the finger at each other and look to Christ, there will be no change. Now we're about to show you how to bring about change. Colossians 3, verse 1.
If ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God.
So you don't even need to be looking around on the earth no more. Okay? Number one thing you need to do is you need to turn that news off. Okay? That's the first and foremost. Because until you get this truth in you, you're going to believe those lies. All these false flags, all these so-called terrorist attacks. Listen, don't believe the hype. And in a very short time, the narrative is about to switch from Bin Laden to Junebug. It's coming very soon. In a very short time. Mark my words here. It's going to be very, very soon when you're going to be seeing our faces as a new terrorist. And all these things that they're doing is just setting up laws. So you're not going in, you're just seeing the news where they're telling you this happened, but you're not going in and seeing the laws that are getting passed as a result of these things. Be careful. So you need to get your mind off what you're seeing around you. And Christ, verse 2.
Set your affections on things above, not on things of the earth.
Not on the things of this earth. You don't need to be worried about what they're talking about on the earth. You don't need to be worried about the newest fads. Turn off that television. Get off them so-called reality TV shows. Get that rap music out of your house. Get all that stuff out of there. You can care less about who's snapping on Snapchat, who's flexing on Instagram. Get it out. Just be done with this stuff and get your mind in this Bible. Because if you get into these prophecies, you will see everything that you see on the news that's already been written in the Bible. But because people don't know the Bible, they think that this is just coincidence. All the stuff that's happening in Syria, in the Bible. Everything that's in the Middle East is going on, it's in the Bible. All these attacks, it's been written thousands of years ago. But until you know this, you won't be able to make sense of what you're seeing out there. Verse 3.
For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God.
Verse 4.
When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory.
In glory. Romans the 8th chapter lets us know that if we suffer with him, we shall also reign with him. You understand? You want to be with him in glory. But the only way you're going to do that is if you get your mind on him now. Not when you're on your deathbed. Now. Verse 5.
Mortify therefore members which are upon the earth.
Okay, so he's saying right now, all of these things that they celebrate and they get ready on earth, you need to put to death all those things. What are those things that we need to put to death?
Fornication, uncleanness, inordinates, affections, evil
desires,
covetousness, which is idolatry.
Okay, so he's saying all these things what the world celebrates with social media. The only way you become popular is that you do these things. Dead them. Okay, put them in a box, put 2 in his skull, kill it. It needs to be no longer part of your life. And I know it's really sad. I know it's really sad because I be having conversations with people who say they're in the church and they still promoting fornication like you're supposed to be doing it. And it crushes me when you hear people who they in the church telling you, "Hey man, you ain't married yet? You ain't got no kids yet?" "Nah, man, I'm waiting on my wife." "Bro, you what? So you ain't doing nothing?" And this is what he said. But then if I go out and do these things, then you're like, "Man, he a preacher, man. That boy, he should have known better than that." It's crazy how it's crazy. So if I don't fornicate, if I do walk in celibacy, you call me crazy, right? But if you find out I got a bunch of baby mamas around town, that boy, he preaching. I knew he was fake. He should have knew better the whole time. We can't win for losing, man. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So he said you got to put that stuff to death. Evil desires, idolatry. How in the world is somebody in Christ following somebody on Twitter? Well, you say, you know what? I want to know what LeBron James is doing. Let me sign up so every time he posts a picture, it'll come to my phone. Really? I mean, just, I don't understand it. How are you following somebody on Twitter and Instagram? So everything they do, you see. Like, man, look at Shorty, man. She just bought a new pair of shoes. Oh. So what? Idols. Verse 6.
For which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience.
You hear that? So all those people who are involved in those things, the wrath of God is coming on the sons of disobedience. Do you want to continue to be a son of disobedience? Do you want you want the wrath coming for you? Verse 7.
In the which ye also walked sometime ye lived in them. But now ye also put off all these anger. Okay,
hold up. So he's saying, see, once upon a time you did walk in it. Listen, we all did. Right? So let me stop there. So don't get it twisted that everybody is good. I've always been good. Because anybody know me, know where I lived pre-Christ, know how I struggled post-Christ, knows that your boy L is a work in progress. All right? So don't get it twisted. All right? Don't get it twisted. Even when I still come across my boys that I went to Fayetteville State with, That boy's like, what? You doing who? Preaching what? So we got to put off those things. We once walked in them. We once lived those things. But if we're in Christ, how can we continue to walk in those things?